This is Adventure for Life. I'm Joel. We're going to do something a little bit different today. I am still waiting on all of the accessories for the Grenadier to show up. They got ordered probably 3 weeks ago. Most of them have been received, including the tent. But I'm still waiting on a few, I think, from Rhino Rack. So while we're waiting, and I'm going to do several videos on that whole process, but while we're waiting, I thought I'd show you this video. Back in November of 2018, I got to go to Iguazu Falls in Brazil. And, you know, it was something I had always wanted to do. And so I had the opportunity and I took it. Turned out that, and what we're doing right now is this helicopter is flying over, you know, just a wooded area, and you can see the river in the distance, and actually that water that you see on the right is Iguazu Falls, and the water that you see on the left is the Iguazu River feeding Iguazu Falls. And so you're going to see some really great footage of this waterfall. So I actually saw it on 3 different occasions. We were there for 2.5 days. I was with, this was a business trip, and I was there with the Brazilian rep that my company had at the time. And again, I had said to him, hey, if we're ever in the area of Iguazu Falls, I want to go. And it turned out that we were visiting some customers close by. And so we took 2.5 days over a weekend to do this. And when I say a half day, the first day or half day, we did this helicopter ride. And it turned out that the operator of these helicopter flights was a customer of ours, and that our Brazilian rep knew him well. So when we showed up, it was probably an hour-long wait for the flights, but because we were connected, we got put on the very first helicopter and got put in the front of the helicopter, so had the best seats. And, you know, unless y'all, you know, hopefully y'all aren't going to get too irritated us for that. We didn't ask for that. That was something they did on their own, and we didn't even realize it until they were walking us out to the helicopter that they had put us to the front of the line. So obviously we enjoyed that. So you're seeing a little bit of a shot of the falls on the right, and then you see the Iguazu River on the left. Let's talk about Iguazu Falls versus Niagara. So first, depends on how you rate falls. You know, if you look up what's the largest waterfall in the world, you're going to get one list. If you get what's the tallest waterfall, you're going to get a different list. If it's biggest by volume, biggest by, you know, width, you know, whatever, you're going to get different answers. But Iguazu Falls is probably going to be the 2nd or 3rd largest rated waterfall in the world, behind possibly Angel Falls in Venezuela, and for sure Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe. Iguazu Falls is on the border between Brazil and Argentina. So what you're going to see is, I went 3 different times. We did this helicopter ride first, and then we went to the Brazilian side, and you see on the top left, you see a bridge that walks out there, that you can walk out there. And so we're going to do that in a later part of the clip. But you're seeing a great view, and one of the reasons why this waterfall is so immense is because the river is so immense, and it doesn't just feed the view of the horseshoe of the falls, it feeds all around it, as you see. And so there's a bunch of waterfalls all together. So if you compare this to Niagara, and I've been to Niagara several times, Iguazu Falls just dwarfs Niagara. So you're getting a really good view of the horseshoe falls there. And sorry, my camera, I did this with my phone. I didn't have my GoPro or whatever, so I just videoed all this with my phone. And anyway, the horseshoe side of the falls that you're seeing right now is about the same size as Niagara. And if you look to the right, you'll see, you know, what you could call Bridal Veil Falls, which would be on the U.S. side of Niagara. And so that part of it is about the same size as Niagara. So what makes it larger is, if you look at what was the top right there, you would have seen all those additional falls. So now we've cut to, and I'm sorry this again, this video was just made with my camera. So you saw the walkway out there, and that's the walkway from the Brazilian side. And then here we are looking over the horseshoe side of the falls. And so you see a little bit of a stair step, and there are stair steps in other places. Now, one of the reasons I'm not tilting the camera straight down is because you see all that mist coming up, and it's just so heavy. There you see it there. You can't really see down in there because the mist is coming up so much, but the volume of water is incredible. Okay, so this is one of the, you can call it Bridal Veil, one of the other more narrow falls on the Brazilian side. And they built a walkway down there, which you'll see in a minute. In the video on the left-hand side, there used to be, right there where the water kind of meets, there used to be a walkway down there, but they had a huge rainfall, like 10 years before we were there, and it washed all that out. This is obviously a great view. Again, there's a walkway down to the bottom of some of these veiled falls, and so we're one level down. We're at the next plateau. Quickly, we have moved on to the Argentinian side, and so interestingly, and I'll say this quickly, so to where I'm showing you right now, to the far right on the video is where we were yesterday at the bottom of that walkway. What I'm doing now is just looking on the Argentinian side from above. We're actually going to get to walk down to one of the plateaus in a second, and you'll see some video footage of that. The Maid of the Mist is the boat that goes to Niagara Falls. I got to get on a boat here also. Obviously, it didn't go in this area because the water was too rough, but at the base of one of those, I'll call it Bridal Veil again, falls to the right of what you're seeing right now, right there on the far right. The boat actually pulled up into the water. I mean, I knew we weren't going to drown, but I took a deep breath because it was that, kind of awe-inspiring. So you saw that we're down on the one level down on the falls, and so the falls are behind us, and then they're also in front of us. It was just absolutely incredible to see. Again, the boat didn't take us all the way up into the U of the horseshoe, but it took us, down to probably the first fall that you got to, because again, the water was really rough as you went up through the U, and we could see it. We didn't go up in there. We were probably on a pontoon that had probably seating for 25 or 30, and fortunately, again, there were 2 seats in the very front of the boat, maybe 3, and I got to sit in one of those boats. And so when we pulled up into the water, I mean, you couldn't see anything but water. And again, I just took a deep breath, although, part of that was probably just excitement or whatever. But it was probably, altogether, the boat ride part of it was probably 30 or 40 minutes, something like that. But for those of you who have traveled internationally, one of the things that you learn pretty quickly is their definition of safety is different than in the United States, and I could give you lots of examples of that, but there's no way in the world that they would allow a boat to pull under the water in the United States or in Canada like they did down in Brazil. But it was so much fun. Obviously, you got drenched in the process, but it was really fun, and mostly it was just the mist hitting us, bouncing off from the falls. So we didn't actually get under the falls because that would have just been, a weight and an impact that we probably couldn't have stood up under or whatever. But so we basically just pulled into the mist, but you felt like you were actually in the waterfall in the moment. So let's talk for a second about the Brazilian versus the Argentinian side. I don't know exactly where the line splits. Is it right in the middle of the Horseshoe Falls? I don't know. But so we did the helicopter ride the first night or afternoon we were there. The next day we got up very early and went and did the Brazilian side of the falls. There was a little train ride included in it. We met some very nice people from Germany and whatnot. And then the next day we got up even earlier because we were going to go to Argentina and clear customs, and they said that that was just really was a joke. And you'd think for as many people as are traveling from one side of the falls to the other, they'd really have that process expedited. But it was a joke. I mean, we pulled up there, everybody had to get out of the car, we went into an office, somebody filled out some paperwork for us, we stood around, and they said it can take 2, 3, 4 hours to get through customs, which is why we were there at probably 7 o'clock in the morning or something like that, because wanted to be able to beat the crowds. Ended up eating at an Argentinian steakhouse, so I'm sure you've heard this, but both Brazil and Argentina are known for their steak and their beef and whatnot, and it was fantastic. Anyway, just wanted to have some content this week that I thought you might find interesting. Iguazu Falls was incredible. I'd like to go to Victoria Falls sometime. I've been to Zambia, have not been to Zimbabwe, and Victoria Falls again is on the border between Zimbabwe and Zambia, and so hopefully I'll get to go there someday. Anyway, have a good week. Hopefully next week you'll be seeing some footage of the tent that I bought and the people that helped me procure it and install it, and just how the whole trip goes with that installed and whatnot. All right, see you next week.